Om Soham Tatvamasi. Om. You and I are one with the one universal God of all creation and no other. Jai Bhagwanji. Victory to God the Beloved, that beloved universal I am that I am, which you are. I want to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Liberation. Now, why would we change our name? Well, we haven't. The full name of this way of life is very long. But briefly, it is God's eternal universal religion, the holy Adhyatma-Yoga-Dharma of Adhyatma Bhagavan Sri Babajana Al Khalil the Friend. You see, Adhyatma-Yoga-Dharma literally means the way to union with God, to self-realization, and to freedom. Because, in fact, there is no freedom outside of that. Now I can make things a lot easier on myself and a lot easier on you, but it's all politics. You've been watching politics here for the last couple of weeks. Excuse me. Aren't you sick of it? Aren't you tired of it? This person uses this word when he means that word. He uses that word when he means this word. This one calls that one a thing, and this one calls something else. And on it goes. You've got to be tired of it. You see, it doesn't matter whether you call the source of our being God, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Yahweh, Allah, or any of the other approximately 3,330 names that men have devised to refer to the source of our being. So I could be politically correct and say the divine universal spirit. That's politically correct. And you would go, oh, it's so warm and fuzzy. Maybe. But there would be somebody there that would object to divine. Another person would object to universal. Somebody else would say, I don't like the word spirit. I say, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. You see, God, the one universal spirit, Allah, Brahma, Yahweh, Vishnu, Shiva, Yahoo, has bid me to call him Parat Para. Say it with me. Parat Para. Parat Para. Parat Para. Parat Para. It is not another God. It is not even another name for God. It's a definition of God. And the definition means this. God is all of creation. God is within all creation, and yet God is beyond all of creation. You got that? God is all of creation. God is within all of creation, and yet God is beyond all of creation. And that's what Parat Para means. That one universal God, which is all creation, which is within all creation, and yet which is beyond all of creation. Manifest and unmanifest. Immanent and transcendent. Personal and impersonal. And so, why don't I say Parat Para every time? Well, God is very short. And we're lazy by nature. And so it's very easy to say God. But when I say God, you know that I'm talking about Parat Para. I'm not talking about the Christian's definition of Jehovah, or the Hindu's definition of Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. I'm talking about the one universal being, the one universal spirit, the one universal God, who is all creation, who is within all creation, and yet who is beyond all creation. We've got to get that out of the way, because otherwise we stop right there. And I have to talk like a politician. And I don't like talking like a politician. It has happened. It has happened. God has created or made a new covenant with man in our day. A new covenant through which all who accept it and fulfill it will be set free at the end of this life and will return into Him as a drop of water falling into the sea becomes the sea. Or as a wave on the ocean that rises and lingers for a time and then goes back into the ocean becomes the ocean. Now mind you, I'm not talking about God becoming you. That's not only a silly concept, it's a dangerous concept. You find those people in rubber rooms down at the mental hospital.
Yeah.
See, it's not that God squoze Himself down into your puny little ego and your puny little body. I don't care if you're 3 times the size of Mr. Universe, you're still puny. Let's think about how big Paratpara is, how big God is. God is so immense that if you take all of creation, all of it, I'm not talking about our world, this little ball dangling around in space that rotates around the sun. I'm not talking about our solar system alone. I'm not talking about our galaxy alone. I'm not even talking about our universe alone. And astronomers and people who study these things know that there isn't just one universe, there are many universes. I'm talking about all of creation. If you take all of creation is equivalent to one single grain of sand in the Sahara Desert. And God is the desert. That's how big God is. Next time you think you're going to boss Him around, think again. You know, we have this prohibition against taking God's name in vain. Oh, people do it all the time. People do it in ways they don't even know. And I don't want to get all sticky about it. I hate superstition. I wrote about this last night before I went to sleep. I despise superstition. Superstition is what has destroyed so many millions upon millions upon millions of lives. And I'm going to take a little side road here for a minute. But we must not fall into superstition when we start talking about these spiritual matters. God is too immense to command. And that's why saying God damn this or God damn that is wrong. Because you're saying to God, God, you will damn this. That's like, here's this grain of sand is our entire creation, and inside of it are multiple universes, and inside those multiple universes, down at the size of a mu meson, which is a subatomic particle, is our world, and on that mu meson someplace is this building, and inside of that building, or wherever you're sitting right now watching this, that's where you are. Don't try to tell it what to do. Don't try to tell God what to do. That's why it's so stupid to say God damn this or God damn that. I'm going to ask you this. Is it equally stupid to say God bless you? See, I can say, I hope that God will bless you. I wish that God will bless you. I want God to bless you. But I can't tell God, now you bless this person here. But you'll hear preachers on TV doing it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. See, the problem there is, and I'm going to get back to the superstition thing because it's so crucially important. What happens there is we are, in essence, one with God. In our innermost essence, we are that drop of water that has been taken out of the sea temporarily. Actually, it never comes out of the sea. We're that wave that rises on the ocean. And as the wave, we know that we're separated from Paratpara, from God, by some means that we don't understand. And we really want to get back to it. We want to get back home. We want to be the ocean. I don't want to just be a wave. I don't want to just be a drop of water. You see? So there's something in us that wants to be God. But not in the sense that a lot of people take it. A lot of people take it that I, this person, this ego, this self, I am God. No, you're not. And yes, you are. You're God the same way that the wave on the ocean is a wave, but it's not the entire ocean. You're God the same way a drop of water taken from the sea is sea, but it's not the entire ocean, is it? So you have to remember this, because otherwise you get lost. You get lost in a horrible tangle. And you get superstitious. I say I despise superstition. Why? Superstition has ruined, destroyed, decimated, absolutely crushed more life in this world than any other single thing on earth. No disease has done as badly as superstition. Oh, we think of the Salem witch trials. Here were otherwise rational human beings that bowed to this superstition that Mary Jones next door flew out her bedroom window on a broom because some 5-year-old kid said so. So they take this woman out and they torture her for days on end to try and make her confess that she's in a league with the devil, and then they burn her at the stake. For God's sake! Is that religion? Well, you know, most Christians will say, oh, we don't have anything to do with that. But most Nazis, after the war, said they didn't have anything to do with killing all those Jews, too. No, if it's part of your heritage, it's part of your heritage. And you need to learn from it. Not only did that go on in Salem, Massachusetts. Is that why so many weird politicians come out of Salem, out of Massachusetts? I don't know. But not only did that go on in Salem, Massachusetts, but it also went on in Spain. It's called the Spanish Inquisition. And they murdered, I think, 1 million Jews. Because what would happen is some sort of disease would come along, and all these people would be dying of it. Well, Jewish people keep kosher. And so they didn't get the disease. So obviously, if everybody else is dying of it, and they're not, they're obviously the ones who are causing it, right? So let's take them out and kill them. Don't learn from them. Don't figure out what they're doing, for God's sake. Just take them out and kill them. In the most brutal ways. But it's not just Christians, it's Muslims. There are even Buddhists who engage in awful practices like this. It's a deep, dark sickness within the heart of man and woman. Born of fear. We must not fall prey. We must not bow down to superstition. The idea that Jews were vermin, were not really human, they were subhuman, that Hitler propagated, that's a superstition. There's no basis in fact for that, is there? Communism is a superstition. It's not a science. It's not an art form. It's a superstition. That if you just take all of the good stuff away from the people who make it and give it to the people who don't, life's going to be rosy and happy for everybody. And all the time there was a Soviet Union, there was never one time when the poor were not poor. All that happened is that the party members rode in the limousines and had parties in the great halls and things like that. Just like our president, who believes he's an emperor or something, spends $4 million to go to Hawaii with his wife and kids when there are people starving and losing their homes. And we're so accustomed to it, we don't say anything. I don't care whether it's Barack Obama or George Bush or Godzilla. That's wrong. That's wrong. How many people can scratch together $4,000 to take their family on a vacation for a week or so in the summer? And this bozo This bozo and his wife sucking off the tit of humanity spends $4 million to go on vacation in Hawaii. How many vacations has this guy had? 5, 6, 7 today? Huh? And they all cost about this because they have to take Air Force One and Air Force Two and the whole spectrum and all the limousines and everything else with them when they go. Well, he's our president. I respect the office, but I don't respect what this man is doing. He's pirating this country for his own pleasure. That's wrong. It'd be wrong if he was a Republican, a Democrat, a libertarian, or anything else. It's wrong. That's what happened with communism. This is not a political diatribe. But this is superstition. It's superstition that this guy should have the right to spend $4 million of our money. It's not his money, baby. Our money. To take his wife and his beautiful little children to Hawaii for a week. And do the hula, I guess. No, it's wrong. This is what these people that are out there doing Occupy Wall Street, it should be Occupy the White House.
Yes.
Because that's where this crap is coming from. At least people on Wall Street are honest. They say, profit is our motive. We're down to make a profit. We're going to do it any way we can. And that's capitalism. This guy in the White House preaches out of one side of his mouth and spends our money on garbage behind his back. This is the worst case that I've ever seen. So you see, we have this superstition that because he's half black, we can't say anything about it, can't comment on it, can't do anything about it. This whole racial thing is another form of superstition. We're surrounded by it. We've got to push it aside and see the straight view. And that's what this way of life, this Adhyatma-Yoga-Dharma, God's eternal universal religion, the way to union with God, is all about. So don't let me catch you getting superstitious. Don't let me catch you making mysteries where there doesn't need to be any mysteries. God gives us enough mysteries. God is the one greatest mystery. Mind cannot grasp Him. Only Spirit can know Him. Now why can Spirit know Him when mind can't grasp Him? Because you are Spirit, and Spirit is God. Wow. You may just be a drop, or you may be a drip. But you're still ocean water. And ocean water can know ocean water. Wow. So you can know God while living in this world. You can know your oneness with God while still living in this body. And that's called self-realization. And if you don't do it while living in this body, you will do it at the end of this life if you have this new covenant that God has made with man. And you fulfill it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. If you want to find out what it is, find out. You see, if you don't want to know what this is bad enough to find out, and there's plenty of information associated with this talk to help you find out. If you don't care enough to go find out for yourself, we're not going to practice spiritual welfare. There are no spiritual food stamps, although a lot of people want you to believe that. While they're speaking to you about this spiritual welfare, be sure to keep one hand in your pocket, because that's where their other hand's going to be. I don't want your money. I don't want your house. I don't want your car. I don't want your kids. I mean, I admire your kids, but I don't want them. I have one of my own. He's 49 years old now. I don't want any of that. My life and the lives of what we call the Maitreyans, which are the people who follow this way, who have received this new covenant and are fulfilling it and following this way of life, Our lives are dedicated to one thing and one thing only, and that is to extending this new covenant that God has made with man to every soul, so that those of you who want it can take it. Doesn't cost a thing. Nobody can charge you a dime for it. If anybody says to you, oh, I will give you God's new covenant, it'll only cost you $25. Do me a favor. Walk away. I'd love to say punch him in the snout, but that would be advocating violence, and of course we couldn't do that. But just walk away. Laugh in his face and walk away. Or her face and walk away. Nobody is allowed to charge you one thin dime. Not one penny. Not one halfpenny. Not one shekel for this gift. And there's something else that they can't do. You cannot receive this new covenant, and nobody can give this new covenant to another, by force, threat, coercion, intimidation, bribery, deception, or violence. You can't do it. So these are the restrictions on it. See? Can't charge for it. You can't use those 7 things. I think it's 7. Force, threat, coercion, intimidation, bribery, violence, and deception. That's 7 things, right? Somebody counting for me?
Yeah, 7.
It's been a long day. And so I'm going to let you go and find out what this new covenant is. If you think it's bunk, if you think it's bull, hit delete. Hit delete. There are 7 billion people. That knocked me on my behind. I thought we were at about 3.5 billion. I heard the word that there's 7 billion people on planet Earth. This poor planet's going to choke to death in people. But with 7 billion people, if you don't want it, believe me, somebody else does. It may be the guy standing right behind you or right next to you. It may be your daughter, it may be your son, it may be your father, it may be your mother, it may be your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your grandfather, your grandmother. Somebody out there wants God's new covenant. And those are the people that I'm looking for. Those are the people that we're looking for. We're not looking to force this on anybody. We're not looking to preach this down your throat. We're not looking to preach hellfire and damnation. You're going to go to hell if you don't do it my way. God will decide where you're going to go. God will decide. No book will decide. No preacher will decide. Nobody else. God alone will decide where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And when. And how. So you can just put that one to rest. That's more superstition, you see. So, as we look around the world at what superstition has done, if you knew all of the things, oh my God. If you have a really strong stomach and a really solid mind and don't have nightmares very often, Google the Spanish Inquisition and see what they did to people to try to make them confess that they had somehow been in league with the devil or sinned. Try hanging a guy upside down naked, putting a funnel in his anus and pouring hot lead into his bowels to drive out the devil. This is superstition, folks. This is superstition. I don't want to ever see that here. I don't want to see that here. I mean, people will call what I say superstition. People can put any label they want on you. Look at these, now here's Romney's putting a big label on Newt Gingrich. Newt's putting a big label on Romney. They're all putting a label on Ron Paul. He's putting labels on everybody. It's the way people work. It's not what people call you, it's what you know in your heart. And what we know in our heart is this. This is the good news. You hear enough bad news all the time. Check out thegoodnews777.com. Coming soon. Check it out. Thegoodnews777.com. Because this is the good news. There's a lot of bad news. The Iranians are working on a nuclear weapon so that they can nuke Israel. They're threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz, or Farmuz, or whatever it is, and we're darn well not going to let them. War drums are sounding. Bad news everywhere you look. But this is the good news. The good news is this. It has happened. It has happened. After 1,000 years, 2,000 years, it's happened. God has made a new covenant with man. And you can have it for free. Now, I have to be straight with you. I have to be honest with you. There is a price that you have to pay. You're not going to pay it to me. And it doesn't come out of your pocket. You can't write a check for it. You can't say, I gave it the office. It has to come right out of your heart and out of your life. Because when you receive this new covenant, part of fulfilling it is the obligation for you to extend it to others. Extend it to others. Look, I've got this little, what is this thing? It's a little Purell bottle. I'm not advertising Purell. And I can give it to you like this. I can say, here, put your hand up, and I will give you this. This is the authoritative way. That is not our way. This is our way. If this is God's new covenant, and I come up to you and say, here it is. You want it, brother? You want it, sister? If so, take it. See, you can reach over and take it. But if it's like this, you don't know what it is. I remember when I heard Nancy Pelosi say about this one bill that they had, there was 13,000 pages or something like that. She had the absolute unmitigated gall to say to Congress, we have to pass it to find out what's in it.
Oh.
See, that's this. You have to accept this before I put it in your hand. Well, what if it's a scorpion? Huh? What if it's a black widow or a brown recluse? I put it in your hand. No, when it's like this, when it's up, you see it. You see what it is. And I'm telling you the truth about it. If you take it, then you have the obligation, the duty to go around to others and say, here it is. To tell them simply this: God has made a new covenant with man in our day that will set you free forever, through which you can attain self-realization within this life and know your oneness with God while you're still in this body. But at the end of this life, you will go home into Him as a drop of water falling into the sea becomes the sea. So you see, there's a price. It's a beautiful price. But you do have that obligation. And a lot of people say, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that for anything. But I do want this. I just won't do that. God does not barter. That's one of the things about God. You just don't barter with God. Parapra. If this God thing's bothering you, then I guess you just have to work on your semantic system inside and kind of cleanse it of all of those past associations and things that you have with the word God. Because if that bothers you, it's a hang-up. It's just a hang-up. You're hung up. Get over it. Or hit delete. Change the channel. Do something else. So there is this aspect to it, and I'm trying to be totally honest with you. When you receive it, you have the obligation to pass it forward to others. And they inherit the obligation to pass it forward to still others. Now, you can't force somebody to do it. You can't use force, threat, coercion, intimidation, bribery, violence, or deception. You can't say to somebody, if you don't take this, you're going to hell. Yeah, I missed my calling. One of those guys. Can't say that. Because that's not your decision, that's God's decision. Now, it may be. But that's up to God. Anybody who says that, let me tell you something. I started off talking about taking God's name in vain. What could be more taking God's name in vain than to say to somebody, if you don't do my way, you're going to hell, boy? Is that ever taking God's name in vain? Of course, what they'll do is they'll turn around and say, don't blame me, it says it in the book. No, that's what you say. You say what it says in the book. And if it comes out of your mouth, brother, it's yours. If it comes out of your mouth, sister, it's yours. And you're responsible for it. That'd be like a politician saying, don't blame me for calling my fellow politician here a commie or a capitalist or whatever. It says so in the book, in the newspaper. Well, you're reading it out of the newspaper, man. It's your stuff. I forget who said it, but I think it was a president or somebody of that sort that said, if it's good enough to be said, it's good enough to take responsibility for it.
Wow.
So no, you're not going to say that. But you have to pass it on. Why? Because there's two parts to this gift that God has given us. One part we call the new covenant. The other we call God's supreme promise of universal salvation and liberation. Because God has also promised us that when there are enough people on this planet at any given moment in time who have received His new covenant and are busy fulfilling it faithfully, He will spontaneously, without any test, without any examination, without any judgmentalism at all, extend this new covenant to all souls. And every single soul will have the opportunity for self-realization within this life and what we call perfect final union with God at the end of this life. And what comes with perfect final union? Perfect total freedom. Because there is no freedom other than Parapara, other than God, other than Allah, other than Yahweh, other than Brahma. There isn't. God is freedom. Because God is the only one in all of creation that is free. Everything else is bounded by, look, see this? I was pushing a drawer closed and I tore the tendon loose from the muscle. I got to wear this silly thing for like 8 weeks or 6 weeks. That's not freedom. I can't stand here and rise up in the air because of gravity. That's not freedom. Just a couple of days ago, I was 23 years old. Now I'm 68. And I'll be 69 in March. That's not freedom, brother. That's not freedom, sister. You can't stop time. You are not free in this world, but you are free in your soul if you will take it. And that's what God's new covenant is all about. That's what it's all about. And that's why we have changed the name of this. It used to say Maitreya Center outside. Nobody knew what that meant.
No.
What it says now is Adhyatma-Yoga-Dharma Center for Spiritual Liberation, because that's what we're doing here. We're liberating people in the spirit. Oh, you're still going to have your body. You're still going to get older. I'm still going to have a torn tendon. But in your soul, in your spirit, you will be free. And in that freedom, you will find peace. And you will find serenity. And people look at me and they say, well, you don't look very serene to me. And that random raving you're doing there, that doesn't sound very serene either. I am not supposed to be serene. I am not supposed to be tranquil. I am not supposed to sit and go, I love doing that. I'd love to be a monk. I'd love to go up in a mountain someplace and get up in the morning and do my prayers and love God and love God's manifestations and just do nothing but devote my every minute to that. You know how selfish that is? That's like Barack Obama going for a 4-day or 5-day vacation in Hawaii, spending $4 million of our money. I guess somebody's got to do it. We need monks. We need monks. Because they're the ones that preserve the knowledge in the times of darkness. But think how selfish that is. Here's a guy who's got 5 kids. He just got thrown out of his house. The man needs peace. He needs serenity. He needs to know who he is. He needs to know that this life is not the end of it all, but that the end of this life is the beginning of it all. He needs to know that. And I'm going to go up and sit next to a waterfall and go, oh, believe me, I've done it. And it's so happy. It's so happy. You feel so good. Until your heart and your mind wander over and touch the guy who's got the 5 kids who just lost his house. I had a friend, his name was George Teng. He was a true Tibetan Buddhist monk. I believe he was a British guy originally, but he became a Tibetan Buddhist monk. And he lived on one of these little walk streets in Manhattan Beach, where you got houses here, and there's a walkway, sidewalk that goes between them. Well, he told the story one time. It's a great story. Tune in, turn on, don't drop it. He told this story that there's this meditation. It's called the meditation of compassion that they do once a year. And his house was bare. And if the sidewalk was here, he had a whole house set up where he had a meditation pad that he would sit on and face the window. And he said he'd gotten in about an hour into his meditation. This is a long meditation. And all of a sudden he heard this god-awful noise coming down the sidewalk. And here was this old bum with a big garbage bag full of cans walking down the sidewalk, dragging this. Well, it disturbed George's meditation. But he shook it off and got back into his meditation. And sure enough, back up the sidewalk comes this guy. And he said, no, I'm supposed to be tranquil. I'm supposed to be compassionate. I'm back into the meditation. The guy kept going up and down the sidewalk. Up and down the sidewalk. Up and down the sidewalk. George stood for about an hour and a half. And then finally it hit him. So he got up off of his meditation pad, went out and brought the man in and fed him a meal and gave him some tea. That was the compassion. That was the meditation of compassion. He got it. Our work as Maitreyans is not to go retreat to Hawaii or to a mountain retreat. Although it's good to go there once in a while to refresh your spirit and to get a little concentrated practice in, sure. But that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to bring about what I call divine critical mass. That point at which God's supreme promise of universal salvation and liberation kicks in, and God spreads His new covenant to all souls. And our work in this world is to create that divine critical mass. How? From heart to heart, mind to mind, and spirit to spirit, by giving, by offering God's new covenant to every soul that we meet. Yeah, some people say you're a nut. But after all, I'm just saying, here it is. Look, this is a bottle of Perel. Maybe it'll keep you from getting a cold. You want it? You want it? You want it? No? You want it? Yeah, okay.
Jai.
You see? And so, this is what this center is dedicated to. The Center for Spiritual Liberation. It's the same place. It's the same work. It's the same people. It's the same spiritual path. It's the same religion, if you want to call it that. But perhaps this will be a little bit more expressive of what we're doing here. A little hard to figure out. We're not just teaching meditation. You can learn meditation anywhere. Come on, be real. There can't be less than 500 places in Los Angeles teaching meditation right now. Yes, ours is different. Ours is unique. Ours is a manifestation of the Gestalt, the totality of what God has, Parakara, has given us. But go learn meditation someplace else. Come here if you want to serve. Come here if you want to serve humanity. Come here if you want to help that guy with the 5 kids that just lost his house. I can't give him any money. God has been decent to me, but I'm not a rich man. I can't go give him any money. Well, I can give him $5 or something. Take his kids out for a meal, maybe. But I can only do that with 1 or 2 families before I'm going, I have to go to you. Could you loan me 5 because I haven't had anything to eat for a week? So we can't do that. But we have a gift from God, from Parakara, from Yahweh, from Allah, from Brahma, from Vishnu, from Shiva, from Parakara, that is inexhaustible. I can continue to give this to you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And the only thing that happens is that the more people who take it out of my hand, the bigger it gets, the stronger it gets, and the bigger my heart gets. and the more peace and serenity I know in this world. See, our peace and our serenity doesn't come from running away from the world. It comes from putting the divine Spirit of God into the world and helping other people to realize that they are not just a body. They're not just a mind. They're not just a personality or a collection of experiences. They're not their pains. They're not their aches. Neither are they their pleasures. That's all the stuff of the wave. That's all imagination. But they are God at their innermost center. Now, I can go into a lot of technical details here, but I'm not going to. I have a book. We have a book. It's called The Holy Book of Destiny. Somebody put these little things on there. Holy Book of Destiny. It's even got my picture on the back if that interests you, or doesn't. You can get this book. I think it's $12. We set it as low as we could, as low as they would allow us. Go to Amazon.com, look for The Holy Book of Destiny, and put Maitreya, the friend of all souls, on the back of it. They're in there somewhere. And it'll take you there, and you can buy one, and they'll send it right out to you, and you can read it. Then you can either burn it, use it for a doorstop, give it to somebody you don't like, or give it to somebody you do like. It's yours. Don't get superstitious about that book. Is the Word of God in that book? Oh, most certainly. Is the Word of God in that book? No. It's not in the Bible either. Neither is it in the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Zendavesta, or any other book. Because remember, God is so immense, this entire creation is no bigger in God than a single grain of sand in the Sahara Desert. Can you put the whole Sahara Desert into one molecule of sand? Then you can't put the Word of God into one single book. Not all of it. Now, some of it may be more the Word of God than others. I'll let the rest of the religions fight over that. You know, everybody's out there saying, we are the only way. We're the only way. We're the only way. Right? Well, I got news for you. We're the only other way.
Yeah.
We're the only other way. That's supposed to be funny. If you didn't laugh, you need a sense of humor. But seriously, folks, this work is urgent. It needs you and you need it. But don't come just looking to get. Don't come just looking to receive. Come looking to give. I'm not asking you to give your money away. I'm not asking you to give your house away. I'm not asking you to invite every street person in town into your house to live. Pretty soon you'd be living on the street. Make your money. If you're a capitalist, invest. Profit. Enjoy your money. Not quite as much as our president does, though. See, the trouble with that is he's enjoying your money, not his. If you want to enjoy your money, that's fine. I don't care if you have a Learjet or 10. It's fine, if it's your money. But if it's part my money, or if it's part her money, or her money, or his money, or his money, or your money, that really irks me. He didn't come and ask me if he could take that vacation on my dime. So, this is not political. It's a matter of principle. But what we have to give you is limitless. Money is limited. Gold is limited. Even the amount of paper money that a government can print is limited. They can only print so much before it's totally worthless. We're getting pretty close to that. But what we have to give, God's new covenant, the new covenant that God has made with man in our day, which, if you accept it and fulfill it, will liberate you. While living in this world, you'll realize your oneness with God, if you really work hard at it. I know there's that work thing again. But you have to work at it. to realize that that's called self-realization. But even if you don't work at it at the end of this life, if you fulfill God's new covenant, you will go back into the ocean as the wave goes into the ocean, as the drop of water goes into the ocean, and you will be freed forever. You will be the Sahara Desert instead of the grain of sand. Think of that. Think of looking at this creation from the point of view of God. Because that's the point of view you will inherit. You'll lose yours. Don't give me that stuff about I'm going to go to heaven and have juju eyeballs and chromium joints and that'll never wear out, and I'll be hanging around with all the relatives I couldn't stand to be with while I was on earth for the rest of eternity. If that's your superstition, if that's your belief, God bless you. I would die, I would lay down my life for your right to believe it, but don't expect me to believe it. And of all things, don't demand that I believe it. And don't threaten me to try and make me believe it. And don't any of you ever do that with anyone else. Freedom! Freedom is the essence of this way of life. This is our symbol. This is communism. We're going to pound you into believing it. We're going to pound you into agreeing with us. We're going to pound you into going our way. This is Adhyatma-Yoga-Dharma. This is God's eternal universal religion. This is what I teach and what those who follow me believe. This is freedom, free will, free choice, self-determinism, individual freedom, and this little guy over here, absolute, inescapable personal responsibility for all of these. That's freedom. So when you see somebody out on the street corner, they may have a sign that says, freedom this way, and they go like this, you'll know what that means. That means freedom. Freedom. This means tyranny. This is tyranny. And what do I see when I look at this Occupy Wall Street thing? I see people out there doing this. Not this. Freedom. Freedom. So, I invite you to come here. I invite you to come to this Center for Spiritual Liberation, to receive God's new covenant and supreme promise, and help us, to help me, to help us, to deliver this new covenant to enough souls that we will create a divine critical mass in which God will spread His new covenant into the hearts and minds of all souls, and every soul will have the opportunity for self-realization within this life, and perfect final union, and perfect total freedom in God at the end of this life. In Parampara, in Allah, Yahweh, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, whatever name you want to call God by. This is going to upset a lot of people. But bear in mind that the people that will upset are the people who want to keep their stranglehold on your throat, who people want to keep the shackles on your wrists, who want to tell you how to live, how to breathe, how to walk, how to talk, who want to be a tyrant. It always ends up like this. It's got to be like this. Living with open hands, not closed fists. So, you can find us. Get the book. Read the Holy Book of Destiny. Please don't come. I'm only one person. And we're a very small core group here. Don't come and say, okay, I want to sit down with you for 2 or 3 hours and have you argue this out with me. Don't do that, because you know what I'll tell you? Go home. Go to the beach. See if you can get Barack Obama to take you to Hawaii with him. I don't have time for that. Tell you what, we'll work together. You go get the Holy Book of Destiny, and what do we make of this? $1.25 or something, some puny little amount, or 75 cents or something?
Something small.
I don't know.
Less than $2.
But go get this book, read it cover to cover. If you don't like it, throw it in the trash. Give it to your worst enemy. Use it for a doorstop. But if you do, if you get to the end of this book and you go, this is for me, Then you come and we'll talk. I'm only one person, and we have a very small core group. We don't have time to engage in grand debates with you about whether your religion is right or our way of life is right, whether your way is right or our way is right. And we won't do it. It's a waste of time. I mean no degradation by this, but my grandfather, bless his soul, had very little education, but he was a very wise man. And he once told me, after I had a big argument with somebody, he said, "Son, don't waste your time trying to teach a pig to sing. All that's going to happen is it's going to waste your time and it's going to frustrate the pig." Now, I'm not trying to say that you're pigs if you don't believe my way. It's a principle. Now, somebody's going to go off on that one, aren't they? Well, if you do, then go ahead. But the point is, don't come here looking for an argument. Don't come here trying to prove that you're right. I'm not going to try to prove to you that I'm right. Read the Holy Book of Destiny. If you find that it touches your heart, if you find that it enlivens your mind and your spirit, if you find that it calls to you to come and take this new covenant into your heart and become a Maitreya, then by all means come. If it doesn't, don't waste your time, because we're not going to waste our time with you. It's not that you're not worth it. We just don't have the time to waste. See, 3 days ago, as we reckon time subjectively, I was 23 years old. Now I'm 68. It won't be long before I'm 182. Except I'll never live that long. But if you find that what's in the Holy Book of Destiny rings true and calls to you, and that God calls to you, or Jehovah, Yahweh, Allah, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or as we say, Paratpara calls to you through that means, and you can say, yeah, I can work with this. I can do this. I don't have issues, as they say in the legal field. I don't have issues, as they say in the psychological field, with this. Then you come, because you need to be here. There's much work to be done, and it's urgent. We are seeing humanity on a headlong, suicidal rush to self-destruction. Our job is to get there first and stop it. We're not looking to create an apocalypse like they are with the fifth Mahdi. We're not looking to create Armageddon, where there's blood running in the streets all over the world. We're looking to stop the madness. That's it. That's it. If you've stuck with me this long, what a guy. What a gal. Chances are that you may be one of us. No, it's not this. No, it's this. And this is okay for TV, but this is what it really is. So, you let me know. You let us know. No big climactic ending to this. No drum roll. Just a quiet exit stage left. Om Soham Tatvamasi. Om, you and I are one with Paratpara, the one universal God of all creation, who is all creation, who is within all creation, and yet who is beyond all creation, and no other. Jai Bhagwanji. Victory to God the beloved, that beloved universal I am that I am, which you are.